class. My name is Miss Kantonovichus, and today I will be teaching you the difference between mood and tone. We are going to start off today by watching a short video explaining the differences between tone and mood. Tone. Tone is the author's attitude towards a subject in a text. Tone can be revealed by the author's choice of words and details. The attitude may be stated in so many words or implied. Diction is the key to tone. Now let's discuss mood. Well, tone was the author's attitude towards the subject in the text. Mood is the feeling the reader experiences while reading the text. It is the atmosphere of the text. Tone. Tone is a literary device that reflects the writer's attitude towards the subject matter or audience of literary work. Essentially, the tone establishes the feeling of the writer, narrator, or characters. Techniques to convey tones include word choice, figurative language, punctuation, and sentence structure. This helps establish a narrative voice so the reader is not only understands the words as they're presented in the work, but also their meaning as intended by the writer, character, or narrator. A defined tone allows the readers to connect with the writer and the narrator or characters. Mood. Mood is a literary element that evokes certain feelings or vibes in readers through work or description. It's referred to as the atmosphere of a piece of literature, and it creates an emotional setting that surrounds the readers. Mood development. Usually mood is referred to as the atmosphere. It's developed through setting, theme, tone, and diction. Some lyrical examples of tone. Your sweet disposition and my wide-eyed gaze. We're singing in the car, getting lost upstate. Autumn leaves falling down like pieces into place, and I can picture it after all these days. This is an indirect example of tone. The artist isn't saying exactly what the tone is, but you can pick up on the tone based on the feeling the words are portraying. I'm a crumpled up piece of paper lying here because I remember it all too well. This is a more direct example. The author uses a crumpled up piece of paper as a literary device to symbolize the feeling of the pain throughout the breakup. Maybe this thing was a masterpiece till you tore it all up. This shows the artist's disappointment, the anger towards the subject. The song we're using as an example is All Too Well by Taylor Swift. So we are going to go ahead and watch a performance from early on where she establishes the tone of the song. Now that you have prior knowledge of the song, what do you think the artist's mood towards the song is?
I think how I said dramatic originally still fits the song, but I think it's evolved into more of like I can't think of the right word, like it's not melancholic, but like it's like a happy but like somber, like some kind of like it's associated with good things, but it started from a weird place. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
Okay, so now we're going to watch the performance from 2018, 6 years after the song was released.
In the name of being honest, I'm crumpled up, piece of paper lying here, 'cause I remember it all.
How does the mood conveyed through this performance change from the first version?
So the first version seemed like, and that was an earlier performance, right?
It was our first performance of the song.
So it feels like there was still more hurt than like reminiscence in there, like how we were talking about it being, like how we were talking about being reminiscent before. And so that just seemed like it was coming from more of a like, how she had explained before, like a venting, like hurtful place. And so compared to this performance now, this seems almost like more reflective and like almost more cleansing for her. Still cathartic in a lot of ways, but this is more like happy connotations to it instead of negative ones like before.
Exactly. So how does the artist use her diction to present the tone in a different way? The way she...
So I think it was a different emphasis of different words and parts of the song. So like stuff that she would emphasize and be more into before, she would use different ones now. And then she also used like pauses throughout the song to give it like that moment and then continue on to the end of it.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to go through this one more time before we do our Venn diagram. So the tone is the device that reflects the writer's attitude towards the subject, and the mood is the literary element that evokes the feeling through the reader. Okay, so earlier you mentioned when describing the mood, you said the tone set the mood, and that's true. The tone sets the mood, the setting sets the mood, right? The first performance was at an awards show. Nobody had heard the song before. This performance 6 years later is in a stadium with 60,000 screaming fans. So there's more of a joy to the song. The theme of the song stays essentially the same, right? They don't change the words. So what we're going to do is we're going to look over the mood versus the tone. So the first one, you can tell she's heartbroken. She's reminiscent, but still sad. She has some resentment, some disappointment. In the second video, you can see she's joyful, reminiscent, maybe a little wonderstruck, right? In awe of the situation. Now with the tone the reader feels is they feel that emotional pain. They feel that sadness, that heartbreak, that reminiscence. But during the mood of the second video, they also feel healing throughout. Some of the similarities are they both represent that reminiscent feeling, that sadness. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over your song choice, and we're going to go through the lyrics, maybe watch a performance, and then we're going to do a Venn diagram of the mood versus the tone of the song, and then any similarities that the tone and the mood set. Okay, so I do want to see, like, what did you write down as the lines that you felt like convey the tone of the song?
So for the tone specifically, like one of the first ones when it says "good day in my mind," like the wording that she had used for that, I feel like that could be more mood, but that wording to me gave off like it's something that she's like hoping for. Like a lot of the lines came off as like very hopeful to me, and like when it says like still believe in good days, like she still believes that those things can happen. So like the writer's attitude towards that stuff is like, yeah, all this stuff happened, which she references later, like you don't care, like talking to somebody, we don't know who, but it's to someone. And so it's hopeful that even though these crappy things happened, you can be reminiscent and there's still good days. So it's like that hopefulness to it.
Yeah, and I think hopeful is a great way to describe this song. I also kind of felt like it gave you a sense of feeling understood, right? When you're talking about the mood of the song, everybody gets in bad patches and then they have to tell themselves, you know, today's going to be the day things turn around.
Yeah, so it's like an uplifting type of thing.
Yes, exactly. For the mood, you have hopeful, melancholic, reminiscent, understanding, uplifting, motivational, maybe some fear. For the tone, you've got some similarities there, right? It's reminiscent, it's reflective, cleansing, hopeful. It can make you feel a little upset. It could give you some catharsis. You can tell it's freeing, right? Mm-hmm. It's freeing for the audience. It's freeing for the author. I think that freeing could probably be a similarity.
Freeing and uplifting, I think, for both.
Yep, freeing, uplifting, hopeful, and reminiscent. Yep. Beautiful job, Mason. Do you feel like you have a pretty good understanding of tone versus mood?
I think so, because I feel like a lot of people would interchange those words, but they definitely like, because one can influence the other. It's almost like
they play on each other. They're like a team.
Exactly. And so it's one of those things where like, yeah, you could interchange those words, but ultimately one fits one thing better. Like, oh, this sounds like this. And if someone were to say that's tone, it's like, not quite, but like, sure.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, the artist might be feeling this, but as the listener, do you feel it?
Mm-hmm. Like there's some songs like Foster the People's Pumped Up Kicks that has very like sad lyrics when you really think about it, but the beat is super happy, so it can make you feel happy, but then when you really look at it, you're like, oh no.
No, that's true. I mean, people are dancing around to songs about schools getting massacred.
Yeah.
Essentially. It's a whole thing. And that's the mood the artist has versus the tone, you know?
Exactly.
All right. You did an excellent job, Mason. Thank you so much for your help today.
Of course.